Welcome to the Pixelberry Choices podcast, and today we're going to be talking about Murdered Homecoming from chapter 8 to chapter 15. Well, a lot has happened since I last reviewed. I'm not going to talk about everything, but with some exams, new college orientations, busy schedule. I wasn't able to really do the weekly review of each chapter for Murder Homecoming or either of the new books. But, well, I have changed channels now because I don't have, unfortunately or fortunately, I don't know, access to my old account. But, what matters is Murder Homecoming review. I'm bringing it. So, well, Murdered Homecoming, this is a book, the murder. We are a teen detective, and at the homecoming dance, the biggest thing happened. It's not that we got our first kiss or, something interesting happened, but someone got killed who was supposed to be the homecoming queen. And we've been investigating who could have killed her, and we have gotten to know us so much things in the process. And we first thought that Tyler could be the killer. Then we said no. Then we thought Stevie. No, we got Donovan, and we built one heck of a team with our love interest: Donovan, Tyler, Stevie, our main character. The writing is super fun, and we are checking off. We thought it was gonna be Brett and this that. So jumping from one horse to another in order to find who the killer could be, and we stumbled across around chapter 7 Mr. Lewis, our chemistry teacher in our high school. So some love letters supposedly from Gabby to Lewis. And we get our hands on those letters. We mail them to our principal, and Mr. Lewis gets sacked. And also, this is a crime, an offense. So he also gets jailed, and also he's probably suspected for the murder of Gabby. So we think the case is solved, but we see a lot of students are really unhappy with us because of this. But then, well, to be honest, let me just tell you about my perspective. I mean, I'm not saying this because I have read until 15 chapters and I know what happens, but when the main character even thought about Mr. Lewis being this creep and everything, well, excuse me. I was getting angry with the main character in the group calling Mr. Lewis all these things because I don't know. It's because the sprite of Mr. Lewis or what. I really never wanted to believe that Mr. Lewis could do such thing. But irrespective of that, this book after prior to chapter 6 there was not much discussion of some real life problems, but after chapter 7 we see that there's a lot of things mentioned. For instance, the sexual abuse we get to learn about, and there we go. Again, a really good representational book, and you get to skip that part or not if it's too triggering for you. So what Brett did with Stevie, in a scene we get to learn that how she was abused by Brett and everything. So this is a pretty sensitive topic, and it talks and deals with everything about high school and all the problems in our society. Even, we see the representation of our friends who are struggling with different problems, like our best friend Millie. She has asthma and she gets nervous. Like, for instance, I'm just going to talk about haphazardly. It's not going to be a sequential thing because I'm covering like some 6 or 7 chapters in one shot, in one go. Maybe a 20 minutes, 25 minutes video, but you get the idea. So pardon me if I don't connect the dots perfectly, but Toby and Millie, they're a thing. We can see it, but they can't see it. So in a later chapter, we'll help them get together. Well, we help them throughout the book to get together, to be honest. And what happens is we tell Millie that she needs to tell Toby about how she feels and everything. And we see that Millie getting nervous and taking her the the vaping thing for asthma. So all the representation, we see the representation of epilepsy that a lot of teenagers have, and other problems, trauma, everything. So it's a pretty open book. And even more, we see some more up and coming things that are pretty mainstream these days, specifically. And we'll talk about those things in due time, though. So, with Mr. Lewis, we think this is that. Mr. Lewis is the big bad killer. Then we go to a game and we see someone following us, and from there we know that the person who was following us was Mr. Lewis's lawyer. And then he tells us that we should visit Mr. Lewis, and again, all of our friends were disgusted that Mr. Lewis is this bad person. And then we visit Mr. Lewis in the prison, and boom, he doesn't have any, anger for us, and we learned the big thing that it was not Mr. Lewis Gabby was having an affair with, but it was someone else that Mr. Lewis is trying to protect. And Mr. Lewis is in fact not even a straight person; he's so gay. So he has. So we've also found a letter from Mr. Lewis's mom, and the letter said like Mr. Lewis is dating someone wrong that he shouldn't be, and he should come home. So we thought that it's Gabby, but it's someone, a male someone. So it was from that perspective. His mom didn't want him dating, like all those things, like a man, and should come home. Excuse me. So we got all that wrong. All right. So then we are faced with this utmost guilt. What should we do? And then you need to find out that who this person is. So we do some more snooping through Gaby's things, and we've managed to open the box with the password of the day of homecoming, and we get the letter and poems and all the stuff that Joanna, it is a girl Gaby likes. So Gaby was secretly a lesbian or gay, whatever you want to call it, and Joanna's identity, Mr. Lewis and Gaby, both of them didn't want her identity to be exposed for a certain reason. So we then find Joanna and we talk to her. It's pretty hard to get a hold of Joanna, and we also get to learn that Joanna's family is horrible. Joanna's parents, Joanna's dad specifically. So the thing is, why Mr. Lewis was saying that Joanna needs protection, he can't say his name, or even why Gabby didn't come out in public with this relationship with Joanna. It's because, well, Joanna's father is a homophobic. Uh, it's just as simple as that. And even another good representation, because even in politics and in mainstream, few politicians even years ago, they were mentioning about conversion therapy. It's a weird thing. So it's not throughout the book as you play it, you learn from Joanna that it's not like you're given electric shocks and stuff, but it's even worse than that. That you get talked that whatever you're thinking is sick, whatever you're doing is sick. Your mind is wrong. It's whatever, like however you're supposed to feel, you're not feeling that way, and the way you're feeling, you're not supposed to feel that way. I know it doesn't make sense because it really doesn't. But that's how this whole BS works. So, and it's supposed to change someone's feel, but it's how it's biologically you can't really change it. So it's harmful for one's personality. And well, the conversion therapy Joanna was sent to when she was first in love with a girl, and then she came back. She was supposed to like boys, but well, it really didn't work because it doesn't, does it ever? So she liked Gabby again, and we get to play some cute moments of how Gabby and Joanna got together and how they spent their time together, their secret love affair, the poems Gabby wrote for Joanna, the time they spent, how they kissed, and all this stuff. So it's pretty amazing on one front, but also on the other front is that Joanna's dad, they had to keep it secret because Joanna will be sent into the conversion therapy again, and which won't be nice. Excuse me. So we get to learn all that, and Joanna can testify because if this comes out, she'll be in really big danger. But we need to save Mr. Lewis too because Mr. Lewis is innocent. So then we see that on the day of trial, Joanna does testify, and Mr. Lewis is free, and she was accused of being a, I don't know, you can call it, like pedophile and stuff. So he's not that. So he gets his respect back. His life would have ended, like his career would have ended. His respect would have gone. He will be a, you know, it would be a really hard. It would have been a really hard time for a hard life for an innocent Mr. Lewis. So I personally felt guilty and angry on our group that they even thought of that. I know the proofs are there and stuff, but like Mr. Lewis, I just knew like when this came out in the light that Mr. Lewis is actually innocent. I was literally hollering, like I was shouting, like, "Yay, Mr. Lewis couldn't do that! I knew that." Anyway, so now that happened, and then we don't have any more leads. Like Mr. Lewis is not a suspect, so what can happen? So we go, we wander here and there, we deal with some other problems, and like Joanna gets thrown out, kicked out of her house. So Gabby's parents let her stay there, and now Joanna is free, living on her own under the wings of Gabby's parents, and they're really accepting of her. So Joanna becomes a good member of our hunting group, of our detective group. We also bond well, the four of our love interest, our main character, and we can also spend quality time with the love interest of our choice. So all that thing happens, and then from Mr. Lewis, you also get to know chemical. It's not chemical. I'm sorry. It's rather a drug that capacitipin benzenate. I'm really bad at chemistry. I know I got really bad grades at chemistry. I'm sorry, but it's a trial drug specifically used for epilepsy, and so we need to search that. So we do our research, that epilepsy drug. So we get to learn that someone who deals drugs in the hospital. So we go to this festival, we enjoy ourselves again. These choices moments, we also get to enjoy ourselves. These are amazing. We get to spend quality time with love interest. Excuse me. And again, another book. I'm not comparing it with Endless Summer, but like in Endless Summer, all the love interests had their unique personality. Even in Wake the Dead, here all the love interests and all the characters have their unique, real, amazing personality. Talk about Tyler, talk about Donovan, talk about you name it, Stevie. It's just an amazing thing to see. Anyway, so what happens next? We talk with a drug dealer who is also who also works in the hospital, and we also get to learn that he was the one who worked with our sister Perdita. So we also can take some dimension and learn more in the future about how Perdita disappeared and what happened with her, and we can learn a lot about her final days, what was going on, and about this case too. So back to the point, the case. So we have this drug that is on trial, and we learn that this is used for epilepsy, Parkinson disease, and all these nerve neurotic, neuron related. I don't know what that is, but if you are medical stuff, you know that, like you're in the medical career. That's what I mean. Alright, so, and we see that the patients who are in trial are mostly older. Yeah, and few young people. This disease is also found. Like, well, there's April. We know about the seizure that happened with her, and there is well, even Joanna has that. So we have all the information. Who had access to that? Who could have done that? We think of all these things, and then also we learn that Joanna's dad, Dr. Morgan, I think, is also part of that trial. Like he's running the trial. He's the doctor. So and also like he has the motive here because her daughter, like he doesn't want her daughter to be a lesbian, but her daughter is dating a girl. So all these things. So we think that it's him. So we break into the hospital. We see some of the thing. He's looking shady, and he's also chaperoning for the winter farmer. So we go there. Like he might kill someone else. He might kill Claudia. Excuse me. He might kill Claudia, or he's going there to cover his tracks. Like maybe he left some clues from when he murdered Gabby. From our assumption, and then we also try to keep our ears open at um, a run for in memory of Gabby, or walk or run. I don't remember. A walk in for Gabby, I guess. And we also heard some shady stuff from Britt and his sister April, that Britt took some syringes from April and stuff. So that's pretty weird because the drug is involved. And then in the winter formal, we corner. We also see a video footage before that. When we sent. Oh, remember when we sent Toby and Millie on a date, and we sneaked into the AV club, and we got the footage. We sort of stole it, and if you send Millie and Toby on a date, Toby will be you know, less pissed off, but he'll be pissed off. But anyway, we see in that footage that Dr. Morgan, or Joanna's dad, was indeed looking shady on that day of that homecoming when Gabby was killed. So, come the winter formal, we enjoy it, and we get to choose our love interest with whom we can dance in the diamonds, and we can. I chose Stevie, and we go to a secluded place, the classroom, and we spend some quality time. We talk about that how we have had our lives so far. We got drifted apart, and we just kiss each other and just have an amazing time. And then you get to business again. We try to corner Dr. Morgan, Joanna's dad, but then we see that he was having an affair with the teacher. So he's a douchebag, basically, the whole package. So then we see that Joanna and we all confront him, and the teacher even didn't know that Joanna's dad was in a relationship, like in a marriage. She thought like he was divorced or separated, in separation. So like in a diamond scene, you can even encourage Joanna and play as a Joanna to give Joanna's dad a piece of Joanna's mind and really set Joanna free. And we also see a girl flirting with Joanna, and oh well, like Joanna is who she is, a lesbian, and she now really needs to believes in herself, and she's free of her father. She's no longer afraid to be who she is. So that's a stretch here, and that's a really good mark. Like I was saying, this book is pretty amazing. The challenging times, like a common thing as a thing that is as common as love. The Respect for Marriage Act that's just been passed by the U.S. Presidents. There was some debate. There has been some debate about all these, like, you know interracial marriage, or same-sex marriage. All these things are they're going to be banned. They're bad. Conversion therapy and all this stuff. It's not appropriate. It's not real marriage. So when in the real society these things are going on, like I always say, choices don't need to say that we're making a book specifically for this purpose, because they, in a book like It Lives, where it's about ghosts, and they have included a lot of like trans phobia, the struggle of trans people, and bullies and all the other stuff there. Look at this murder book. They've included sexual harassment, accusations by society. You got everything in there. A male got blamed. There's um, sexual harassment. Excuse me. There is pedophilia. There's everything, like the whole package, as I say. So it's a pretty good representation by choices, I would say. Let me know, guys, your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And then after that, we see that Dr. Morgan isn't the killer, but we also learn that Dr. Morgan doesn't have access to this, and not a lot of people have. And Dr. Morgan lets it slip that there is one person who is an old one, and mostly old people are having access to this. But there is one student who is a student of the school, and is in the therapy, and that's definitely April. So Brett and Claudia. So all these things, all these names flash to our mind, and we have our, all our, they are our main suspect. So we have all our doubts on them. So I personally chose Brett, that he's the killer. So we run back to the place where the gym room where the Winter Queen will be announced. But Winter Queen name was announced just like Gabby's, but there was no Claudia. And earlier we saw Claudia crying and saying that her grandpa is Parkinson, so we thought maybe it was her, but she's not present. Maybe Brett killed her, we thought. And then we are looking for her. We split up, and then we go to where we last saw Claudia, and there we saw, when we didn't find her, that April was standing. And the menacing smile of April, it was like a ghost. And when I was reading it, I just read recently that part, the last chapter, chapter 15, the second to last chapter, forgive me. Um, and her smile, the way it was, and the description, I knew it's gonna be April. So April smile, and then April blocks the door. We say that, oh, let's look for Claudia together. Then, and we tell April that, okay, I'm coming after you. Then April says, no, after you. And then it starts. April gets out a bat. She corners on us, and we step toe to toe, and then we run, and then we hide in a closet. She's out for blood. She's gonna kill us with a bat, and then in a diamond scene, we can just get out of the closet, go to Mr. Lewis, tell her what happened, and give her the note that you know, we have all the proof. April's behind that, and he needs to take it to the police and call the cops. And then we run for our life. We go here, there, but April will always be there. We go to the rooftop finally because we'll hear some Claudia's muffled voices. And we lock the door of the rooftop. We run up the stairs to go to the roof. And April is banging on the door. And she can break in and come inside on the roof at any moment. Props to the girl. Like, she never gives a rest, like, does she? The one with epilepsy. Well, we go to Claudia and we see like she's dozed or something, and her hands are tied. We help her free, but she's dozed, so we hope that she's gonna be better. But meanwhile, April was there, and she just pinches, hits with a baseball bat. But before she can does anything, we hit the record button on our phone and throw it on the bush, inside the bush. So we can only see it from our position, and April doesn't see it. And we want to get a confession out of April, and also we have let Mr. Lewis know the facts. All we can do is hope for the best and wait until Mr. Lewis brings the cop and all the force, and keep you know keep April distracted, and get a confession out of her. So we also feel that Perdita died the same way. We're gonna do, we gotta call 911, call the cops. We're gonna do so. We get the confession out of April, and we learn that April did this because Gabby sent her brother Brett to jail, and it broke her family. She also thinks that Gabby is the one to blame, that why Brett was left by Claudia and all these things. So she wants to kill first Claudia, then Gabby. So it felt like she was just muttering things that Brett taught her. So she was just muttering everything Brett told her, so not very bright. And we also learned that she overdosed Gabby and tried to make a fool out of her. Really didn't want to kill Gabby, but Gabby dropped to the swimming pool, and she really didn't even help Gabby because she was probably enjoying that. So a deep contempt. I don't know. Like, the motive to me is not like, I know, like, it's all about Gabby sent Brett to jail, and it broke her family. Also, the breakup with Claudia, Brett didn't take it lightly, and it caused family problems for April. And Brett was causing a problem too, so she took it out the wrong way. So we try to keep her distracted. The police will be coming, but she says that she will say that we accused her, and in self-defense she killed us. That's gonna be the story, and the Beechwood police will believe it. Well, of course they would. So finally we see that she lifts the bat up and is ready to make a contact, and that's where chapter 15 ends. Alright, guys, so April's the killer. Did you guys hope? Like, would you guys, like, when you were starting chapter 14 or 15, what you guys think? Like, what were you guys thinking? Like, who's gonna be the killer? To be honest, I thought it's gonna be probably, one of Claudia, Brett, and April. Um, I had doubts about Claudia because Claudia wasn't striking me as the killer type. And there was some wild guesses like Millie and Toby because I have read, um, the number homecoming. I mean, Veil of Secrets and the Unexpected Heiress. I mean, I gotta say this though, that the killer in this book is not that unexpected like the Unexpected Heiress and Veil of Secrets. Because in Veil of Secrets, I didn't even really think like Duffy was in the picture. Similarly, in The Unexpected Heirs, I didn't really think that that woman was in the picture as much. But April was here from the beginning. Pretty much. Quote, she was in the picture quite heavily. She was one of the center part of it, to be told. So yeah, that's it. Let's see how it ends. Like one chapter to go. I don't know how much answer we're gonna get. Are we gonna survive? Are we gonna die? And the bigger question is what's gonna happen with the love interest? How it's gonna end? We have a lot to go through in just one chapter. I don't know how it's gonna end though. But also one more thing is that Perdita. So I don't think we're gonna find Perdita. We're just probably gonna have to live with the truth that Perdita is dead or something. But this book is also not gonna have a sequel, and I think it's got all the potential to get a sequel because the whole Perdita thing they have dragged it throughout the book, and we have one more chapter to go where we're gonna see we're gonna survive or not. We're gonna see what's gonna happen with the love interest. We're gonna see what's gonna happen with the case, the closure, and also Perdita. Well, if they do something really shitty with Perdita's case, like blah blah, just live with it, then I'm gonna call absolute full BS on choices for that. I mean, don't get me wrong, but that would be really, 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 really big letdown even for choices standards. Let me know, guys, your thoughts and opinions about this book and, your expectations for finale. I know it's been a long time, but, it's good to, just record and get to know your opinions. Well, it's a new start. It's a new place. Pixelberry Choices Podcast 2.0. Subscribe, comment below. Let's talk. And, let's get back to the good old days. Peace.